Our video today. My name is Derrik Hubbard, Certified Financial Planner and National Social Security Advisor. I am particularly excited today to share an idea. And today's idea is for people who are entering into retirement with a mortgage, which is more and more common. We want to talk about an idea in which we replace a traditional mortgage or traditional forward mortgage with what's called a home equity conversion mortgage. And that's a part of the reverse mortgage program. The legal term for the reverse mortgage program that's insured by FHA is the home equity conversion mortgage, sometimes called HECM, H-E-C-M. So we want to look at the value of replacing a traditional mortgage with a HECM mortgage in a couple regards. One is in regard to payment obligations. We also want to look at equity that we retain under both scenarios. And lastly, we want to look at probably the most important concept is the available money or liquidity of funds that are available in retirement should we choose to make the replacement in terms of having access to tax-free funds in the future to pay for things that may come up, emergencies, long-term care, things of that nature. So I am going to move myself here to the right so that hopefully you can see what we're looking at here. Our traditional forward mortgage is for an individual who is 65 years old, and they owe $200,000 on their mortgage. They make payments each year of $22,200, and so they have 11 years left in order to pay it off. This example has the home value at $625,000, growing at 4% inflation. And so right now, at age 65, going into retirement, they have equity of $424,000. You'll notice, though, in the liquidity column, they have zero. There's no access to any of those housing wealth funds. And so they may have other liquidity, but they don't have any liquidity in regard to housing wealth. We're going to take this forward-looking mortgage, and we're going to fast forward 10 years till they're age 75. They are still making $22,200 worth of payments. They've paid the $200,000 down to a little under 30. The home value's grown to $925 and their equity's grown to $895. Yet, under the liquidity column, still zero. They have $895,000 of equity, but none of it is available and none of it is liquid. Now, if we replace the home equity conversion mortgage, I should say if we replace the traditional mortgage with the home equity conversion mortgage, we're going to pay some closing costs and we're going to pay some insurance costs. And so instead of owing $200,000 at the beginning of the process, we're going to roll that into the mortgage balance. We're going to owe $220,500. So the mortgage that we're going to be paying on is going to be slightly more, but we're going to keep making those $22,000 payments. That actually should read $22,200. We're going to keep making those payments as we had before. Home value isn't going to change. It's going to remain at the same in both circumstances. Appreciation is going to remain the same in both circumstances. We're going to have a little bit less equity because we are owing a little bit more. But we're going to notice something here over in our line of credit liquidity. And let me adjust this. And actually, I'm not going to adjust it. Even though I don't have dollar signs here, and some of them are dollars and cents signs, you're going to notice something. You're going to notice that there is an available line of credit that we start with, $57,000. And you're going to notice each and every year that we continue to make these payments that the line of credit option is going to grow by virtue of the fact that we're making payments to reduce the mortgage and the fact that the line of credit has a growing option built into it, baked into it. And so we're going to see very, very different from the traditional mortgage is we are increasing access to liquidity or availability of tax-free funds should we actually need it down the road. When we get to the age of 75 and we compare our two situations, let's compare our two situations side by side. Now, in terms of payments, the traditional forward mortgage is still going to be making payments. You have the option of the home equity conversion mortgage replacement to make payments, but you could decide in that 10th year, you know what, I'm not going to make any more payments. And in this particular situation, they decide, let's not make any more payments. So they have that ability, they have that option. And so what's going to happen is that the mortgage over time is actually going to grow because they're not going to be making payments. We're going to see how that results ultimately. Home value is unchanged in both situations, and equity is only slightly different. So in the home equity conversion mortgage replacement, we have equity after 10 years of $845,000 as compared to available equity in the traditional mortgage of $895,000. So not significantly different. Both are well over $850,000 of equity. But let's look at the difference in terms of liquidity. We have no liquidity in our forward mortgage. And in our home equity conversion mortgage replacement after 10 years, we have $388,000 worth of liquidity available to take or to draw from as needed, tax-free. Payments, repayment would be optional at that point. What's really incredible, though, is if we go another 10 years, go into the age 85, and make the comparison at that point. Of course, no payments with the traditional mortgage at that point, no mortgage balance at that point, home value $1.3 million, equity $1.3 million, no difference. So keep in mind with the forward-looking mortgage, we have $1.3 million of equity. How much liquidity do we have? No liquidity at all. No liquidity at all. No availability to those equity dollars. Let's compare it to the home equity conversion replacement. Once again, payments are optional. So even though there is a mortgage balance at that point of $134,000, the individual at that point have an option to make no payments. What is the home value? No different in any situation. And what is the equity? Well, before it was $1.3 million. And in our home equity conversion mortgage replacement, it's $1.2 million. Oh no, we've lost $100,000 of equity in total by making this replacement. But what have we gained? We have gained $655,000 of available liquid tax-free funds that can be used in an emergency to fund long-term care. And so I see this as a huge advantage for people who are entering into retirement with a forward mortgage. If they simply replace it with the home equity conversion mortgage and continue to make those payments, they could at some point in the future, if they decided to, stop making payments and have a growing line of credit, the home equity conversion mortgage line of credit growing through the repayments they're making and the built-in growth of the line of credit. And after 20 years, have significant access to tax-free funds that would be available, but would be unavailable in the traditional forward-looking mortgage. So if you've got questions about this, comments about this, let me know in the comments section what you think about this idea of replacing one with the other in order to have payment flexibility in retirement, retain a majority of the same amount of equity as you had before, but have increasing amounts of liquidity and tax-free funds for emergencies.